I'm a mess. No, I
I'm
mean,
a mess too.
okay, well, two messes. So then I said, okay, you're going. I'll push myself.
That's why I wanted you to go. I thought you were going.
Well, I was. It took me 2 hours just to turn around. You can imagine I was ready to, it's horrible.
I couldn't imagine what you went through.
Because you can't, see, once you're on the bridge, you can't get out.
They called your name right away.
What are you going to do? Because I said I got to get back.
Then I alerted them.
But I
got your
emailed
text.
3 people that I'm stuck. Actually, Charlene did, because I can't use my fingers are too fat.
And they had no. This rabbi was supposed to do it, the only one there, and he got so caught up in what he was saying
He's crazy.
that they had to pull him from the stage. 4 people got on the stage to finally end
Yes,
this.
but Friedman's crazy. Don't they know that?
No, let them know.
You let them know.
I can't.
Oh.
You have to let them know.
The guy is...
They want to keep in touch with you.
Well, what we should do
We have 30
is...
seconds.
If you are you going to speak to them?
No.
We should have them here.
Oh, I would be happy to.
That's what we should. So I wrote him an email suggesting that he speak to you.
I
and
invited
me.
I invited the guy from Canada,
Yeah, I mean the guy from
but
Canada.
I never gave him specifics.
Yeah.
The other guy gave me his card again, Gennady.
But the question is, what's it going to do for us? That's the question.
No, but who
What's it
knows?
going to do for us?
You never know.
I mean, financially, what's it going to do for
You
us?
never know. But I would like to have him here.
All right, so I did send an email suggesting that. And what happened was
But you got to warn them about Friedman. They don't know. Even though they may have seen. All right, we got 10 seconds.
All right, move this thing then.
No, you can keep this.
I don't want it.
Oh, you don't want it?
No, I don't want it. I might finish my Coke bottle.
Oh, cell phone's off.
And then what I'm going to do is give a copy of this to my son-in-law, who knows how to put it on everything. And then I'll have it on all the sites.
Okay. Welcome to the conversation. We're here with distinguished, honored resident Rabbi Rosenberg, Bernhard Rosenberg from Edison, New Jersey, with the first show of the new year, 2017. A very happy, healthy, rewarding, successful new year to everybody. Welcome, Rabbi Rosenberg. Bring in the new year for us.
Thank you, Shannon. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you. And how is the new year treating everybody?
Well, let's see. As you know, I was rabbi for Trump for 1.5 years. And my thank you for that was I was hoping at least to be invited to the inaugural. And what happened was they invited this particular rabbi whose name I won't mention, but let us say follow the money. And so he's giving the invocation, and I'm not invited to anything. So I feel rather neglected. But, I'm happy in what I'm doing, but feel very neglected.
But did you communicate with the powers that be?
As you know, I have very high connections to the media, and actually it's in 3 different newspapers right now. And after I attacked this individual who was giving the invocation, the media, about 6 papers, jumped on the bandwagon to attack that person. So, so be it.
Well, is the person who's doing the invocation a supporter of Donald Trump?
Well, that's a good question, because my position is very simple. If you're always for Trump and you took the hits and you got harassed like I did, and as you know, the only rabbi that was supporting him throughout was me, then you say to yourself, you should get some type of thank you, even though I know many people will say, well, they suggested and supported Trump and they didn't get a thank you. But this person, I never saw him go out and verbally on TV or the media support him. Maybe he does, I don't know.
Well, he's from California.
Yes.
California was a Hillary state.
Yes.
And almost everybody there, like in New York, with the exception of us,
Right.
and there must be he would have stood out.
Yes.
His foundation would have stood out if they were supportive. So that
Well,
should be easy to find out.
What I've been able to find out is nothing. All the newspapers that I've asked whether he voted for Obama have not given me an answer. But so be it. Life is full of pit holes and sometimes difficult, and you just take it as it is.
Is there only one invocation? Are they having rabbi and Christian clergy?
They're
as well?
having, on Saturday, on Shabbos, they're actually having some type of interfaith service. And then at the invocation, the inaugural, seems like they have many Christian and one Jewish rabbi, but many Christian leaders
What
that are
day
being
of the
involved.
week is
And
it?
Muslims. And Muslims.
What day of the week is the invocation?
I don't know.
Monday usually.
I really don't know. But I can tell you, he included, I think, 3 Muslims.
Well, he's the president now,
There you go.
so he represents everybody. And I don't know that this person has ever spoken against the issues that he has raised, the president. I know he has appealed to the Pope many times, sometimes been rebuffed, and I know he has been activist with regard to the Holocaust.
Yes.
For his foundation.
Well, I admire the individual. That's not the situation here. And by the way, he did attack Mr. Trump on the Muslim position. He took a very strong position on that. But, you know, it's the old story. Money talks. And that's the answer. Money talks.
Well, you're going to need activist rabbis. And what we got to face on the college campuses and with the whole world now with this new resolution at the United Nations, which essentially has said that there's no land for peace because Israel has no land to give. It's all Arab. And with the fait accompli of the whole world now being placed in a position to sanction Israel with any future resolutions having teeth to them along the same lines, and with Ban Ki-moon leaving and the next head of the United Nations being one with expertise, so-called in refugees, coming into office, Israel is facing a position where it's going to be either the President of the United States needs Israel or Israel falls into the trap that Israel needs the United States, and that will make her as vulnerable whether she has the United Nations or not.
So let me talk to your audience.
Go right ahead.
Okay, another Holocaust is possible. In fact, it's around the corner. Yeah, you heard me. It's around the corner. And very few rabbis are as outspoken as I am. And I want to tell you that 2/3 of the rabbis in the world that have pulpits and are active voted against Trump. The Reform and the conservative movement openly went against Trump. I would say in the Orthodox world, maybe a third of the Orthodox went for Trump and was split the other way with Obama. Is Obama an anti-Semite? In my opinion, he is. I've said this now for over 8 years. I put out a video that has about 20,000 hits where I say don't listen to Obama, that he's against Israel. And he's proven that in the last number of weeks. He's really come out and showing everybody what he's made of. Is Israel in trouble? Well, my suggestion to Israel is very simple. Don't listen to anybody. Make sure that you're armed to the teeth. And in the next war, instead of leaving before everything is taken care of, do the business, knock them out, finish them off, and take your land. Israel is the only nation in the world where you can go to war, right, win the battles, and have to give back land. America should give back land to France and to Spain. Why don't we do that? All the European nations, as you know, were conquered by one person or the other, by one group. Why don't they give back the land? Only Israel is told that they have to give back the land. Isn't that horrible? If I was prime minister, I'd arm myself to the teeth, and I'm telling you, I would just say to my generals, go in, demolish them, end of the story.
Well, isn't it fortunate that Donald Trump is coming in as a president and that he has an appointment for the ambassador to Israel as an individual who says that the embassy should be in Jerusalem, and he's taking quick steps to do so, and that the two-state solution is not viable, and that Jews who support the enemies are not friends of Israel. And this is, as was said at the memorial to Benjamin Zev Kahana and Talia Kahana on the 16th anniversary of their murder and Millennium Day. Isn't this a refreshing gasp of air we have now. It is a magnificent gift from God, I would say, considering the vote in the United Nations. We have this to look at, as the president-elect said, don't worry, Israel, my time is coming.
Well, here's the truth, and let the truth be known. When Mr. Trump started his campaign, I started Rabbi for Trump. I wanted to make it Rabbis for Trump, but I couldn't find any other rabbis to join.
If I was a rabbi, I would have been.
Well, we ended up having.
I was encouraging you all along.
No rabbi wanted to join. They were afraid of putting their name out. And I had a great feeling that he was going to win. So he wins. And I said to his people when he came out with a statement that he was neutral on Israel, that I'm going to stop Rabbi for Trump because this neutral for Israel is not what I want. And I met with his representatives at Trump Tower. I got a guarantee that things were going to change, and they did. After the meeting that I had with them and a few other distinguished people, all of a sudden things changed. Now, do I want credit for it? No, but maybe in heaven I'll get some. But the end of the story is, where were the other rabbis? And the answer is nowhere. 2/3 of the rabbis are involved with J Street. They're involved with going back to the 67 borders. It's just horrible. What's going to happen now with Mr. Trump in office? I don't know. There's not one single politician in the world that I trust, including Trump. I don't trust any of them. I trust their actions. Let's see what they do.
Well, we both trust God.
Yes.
And I don't regard this election as anything except God sanctified. And you did too. And I remember the moment when I watched the debates and both the Senator Cruz and the senator from Florida said that Israel is a priority, and we have to have Israel as our priority for America. And we talked to each other, and that's when they had both taken on candidate Trump and said, you cannot be neutral on Israel. And we both made efforts and so on, and that's when he came out very forcefully for Israel. He's been consistent on this ever since, and after the election, he's been consistent on this very strongly. So I have my hopes very strong for him, especially in light of this terrible opposition. Now, Dov Hikind, the assemblyman newly elected again, 35 years in office, praise God, congratulations, Dov Hikind, from Borough Park in Brooklyn, has said that the memorial for Benjamin and Talia Kahana, that he anticipates a onslaught against Israel attempted, and that he was in Israel when this tiny community of Amona, which is nothing but a hilltop, had the whole press of the world surrounding it to see Jews leave by acquiescence to the government's demands that they relocate to a proposed building construction nearby, based on a Supreme Court decision in Israel that a tiny portion of Amona is so-called Palestinian Arab, and therefore the whole city must evacuate. And this is a struggle going back to the evacuation of Gaza, which was done with great violence by Israel, and Amona succeeded in staying till now, despite the clubbing of its generals. And Dov Hikind has observed that the most Torah-loving Jews, the holiest Jews, are present in Amona. They are a threat to nobody, and yet they must relinquish their homes for another promise. Well, what does the Trump presidency have in store for future such proposed evacuations? Does it serve not as a bulwark against them? Can we not be reassured that these kind of activities will not take place?
Well, all I can tell you is from my experience, and it's many, many years, as you know, and unfortunately I'm usually right because I have this instinct. I want to see action, not words. So I can't answer you. When I see the action, when I see the embassy in Yerushalayim, then I'll believe it. And until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. I do want to mention, by the way, that you had mentioned Benjamin Kahana, and people should know you were there when the rabbi was assassinated, the father.
I was a witness at the trial.
You were a witness at the trial, and people should also know that we defended them on TV and on radio together for many, many years when no one else would. And in fact, I had him at my synagogue speaking. I was blacklisted by the establishment for 10 years for having him at my synagogue. And I would do it again, but he's not here.
Well, I always participated in and sponsored and encouraged debates, as did both father and son. And I always had Muslims, Christians, everybody involved. We went on all the TV shows, and either I negotiated the debates on the TV, or I came with an audience, or what have you. But this was a free and flowing exchange of ideas and an educational forum at all times. And I was the lawyer for both. And in that capacity only I served. And you were a champion, heroic. And you remember Benjamin Kahana?
Yes.
And to tell us some of your interactions.
Well, I was close with his father. And my interactions were very interesting. When I had him speak at my synagogue in New York, and we're talking a long time ago, 30 plus years, he comes driving up in his jalopy and no bodyguard. They were picketing my synagogue and me, the NAACP, with placards, not only against Rabbi Kahana, but against me also. And the police were up on the roof of my synagogue with machine guns. Yeah, automatic rifles, you know. And so, okay, I usher the rabbi into the synagogue, and I start yelling at him, Meyer, where's your bodyguard? No bodyguard. His car barely works. And he says, it'll be okay. So that's one story I have with him.
You know, I had many black and Jewish forums with Rabbi Meir and Benjamin Kahana. They got along very well together. And Roy Innes from CORE was with Meir Kahana many times at mutually exchanged functions. And Nigel Innes and so on. And also more left-wing black activists. And they agreed on many principles and many ideologies, and also they debated many ideologies. And that the West Side Institutional Synagogue in Manhattan, Rabbi Kahana was a rabbi during the early 60s. And we had many forums of Muslims there in debate with authors and so on. There was nothing to ever cause disruptions, whether on TV or but people shouldn't be afraid of this exchange of ideas. And it should be noted that the people who were murdered were them, and that Benjamin and Talia, the husband and wife, were in a drive-by shooting where 60 bullets were fired at the front of their car, taking their 6 children to school on the December 31st before the millennium, on a secret route known only to them. That was not done at the time they usually do, and very few people were prosecuted. It took a long time, and it's a great mystery how the terrible tragedy took place, and Ariel Sharon protested it vehemently. And that the murder of Rabbi Kahana was termed by the New York Post an assassination, and it was the same kind of assassination to Benjamin and Talia, and it left a very big vacuum to this day. And that they were a tremendous educational force here and in Israel. And Olav Shalom, and for all of that. And hopefully this millennium will be less tragic. Do you see the United Nations under any positive role with Israel this coming year?
I'd like to see the United Nations go somewhere else. I think we're spending a tremendous amount of money on the United Nations, which is a waste of money. All their individuals have all sorts of rights, including parking wherever they want. I think the United Nations has proven it certainly is not a friend of Israel. And if it was up to me, which it's not, I certainly wouldn't spend all the money that we spend on the security, et cetera, at the United Nations. My biggest concern, however, with regard to Judaism, is that since most of the rabbis were against Trump, I don't think they're going to become Trump lovers. Right now, they're considering a protest at the inaugural. And, you know, some of them walked out when he spoke at AIPAC. And all that seems to be forgotten. But I think...
How many walked out at AIPAC?
About 40 or 50. But the mere fact that they are going to do the same thing at the inaugural, and namely have a protest, says that they haven't become Trump lovers yet. Will they? I don't know. We'll see.
I remember another issue. Donald Trump was very much against the sale and business and relinquishment of hundreds of millions of dollars to Iran. And he was not wanted. He was rebuffed at the first demonstrations in Washington. And I was encouraging all who I knew involved in the planning of them and who have been guests on this show, Susan Cohn and others, to have him present. And eventually he was accepted. And I don't know why he wasn't accepted at the very beginning, but I anticipate he will be doing something with Iran. What do you forecast?
Well, to me, Iran's our enemy, and we gave them billions of dollars in suitcases in the middle of the night when nobody knew what was happening. Pretty stupid, if you ask me. Iran is our enemy. As long as the leadership that is in position now, together with the leadership in North Korea and in some other countries that desperately want to destroy America, remain, and as long as someone like Obama basically lets them do whatever they want, I think we're in deep trouble. My hope is that they'll understand that Trump's not bluffing anyone, and that the generals who are going to be in charge now will take action. Do I want war? No, nobody wants war. Nobody wants their children to die, and no one wants their soldiers to die. But, you know, they've got missiles now that can be aimed at America and kill millions at a time. I think we better do something in a hurry.
Do you have sightings on who will be the staff for the ambassador in Jerusalem, who will be the ambassador to the United Nations, who will be the ambassador from Israel to Washington under the Trump administration?
Well, it's obviously going to be right-wing individuals that are probably going to be associated with Friedman and some of the others, but I'm sure they're going to be right-wingers.
And that's a good sign for Israel. But by right-wing, they'd be moderate for everybody else.
Correct.
But right-wing for us is, it's probably left-wing for everybody.
That's right.
Else we have a completely different standard. How has Israel reacted to the pending departure of the current administration and the incoming Trump administration?
It seems split from the numbers that I see. The Obama administration seems to have had support. Trump has support, but it's not overwhelming. You got to understand the position of many of the Israelis. They've had enough of war. They want peace. And the problem is it going to be peace at any price? I learned a long time ago not to speak for Israel. Unless I live there, unless my children are there, unless my children go to war on behalf of Israel, it is not for me to tell them what they should do. But it just seems to me that if you're living under a possible hydrogen bomb, and they're telling you they want to destroy you, it would seem to me that the time has come to start playing games, listening to America, and if there's a war, go in and destroy them. I know it sounds horrible, but Zachar et Amalek. Remember what Amalek did to you. Innocent civilians going to die? Yeah. We had a genocide just going on now in Syria. You see the world care? I didn't see them care.
Dov, I can mention 500,000 Syrians were murdered,
yeah.
And they have refugees now all over, and they want to. But I remember Donald Trump had a magnificent poem based on the scorpion and the tortoise, where the tortoise carries the scorpion across a river. It wants to go across and promises not to sting the tortoise. And midway, they both start drowning. And the tortoise says, "Why did you sting me? You know we're going to drown." And the scorpion says, "I'm a scorpion. That's what I do." And he read a poem about a snake that was freezing outside. And a benevolent lady brings it into the house and warms it up. And when she comes back at night, this snake bites her as she's caressing it, and she says, "Why did you do that? Now I'm going to die." And the snake grins and says, "Listen, miss, you knew when you took me in I was a snake. And if we take in the wrong refugees, we're taking in scorpions and snakes." And the sad thing is that nothing is being done about all the refugees, like the one from Tunisia and Germany who drove a truck the size of a train through the main Christmas plaza and somehow killed Israeli Jews. And then what happened, of course, in Nice in France, where they drove a truck disguised as an ice cream truck without any icing, and people were deluded to thinking that was a refrigerated truck. And it's happening all over very successfully, this form of terrorism. And yet, when they had the anniversary of the club in Paris, the anniversary of the bombing club in Paris that killed 90 or 100 people, that they wouldn't allow in the members of the band who survived because they alleged that the Muslims who had been working in the club had made it possible for the bombing to take place. They said, "This we cannot tolerate. These kind of aspersions we cannot tolerate." And is the world dumbed down? Even Angela Merkel said that the worst kind of crime is a refugee being taken in and turning into a terrorist against us. But is this stupidity staying? Or certainly America and Donald Trump won't face it, right?
Well, I was on a left-wing radio show of a very popular and well-known host, and he was busy calling me Hitler and everything else because I kept saying to him, and he wasn't really listening, that we shall not have Muslims coming in from foreign lands unless they're completely vetted by the FBI. And he kept saying to me, "But they are vetted." I kept telling him he was wrong. And it was proven that he's wrong. They are not completely vetted. In fact, some of the people that have recently been caught here came from there. So if they were completely vetted, how are they able to kill people? Listen, everyone. All Muslims aren't bad, but, a lot of the terrorists are Muslim. And, the fact that you can't go into the mosque and you can't investigate and you can't profile, well, seems very nice. Obama certainly is against it, but guess what? If it's going to save hundreds of thousands of lives, then maybe that's what we got to do. I don't see too many Jews bombing places here in America. Do you? I don't. I don't see too many Methodists or Protestants or blacks or Spanish or Cubans. I don't see them blowing up places. But every other person, when you hear of a terrorist, it's Muslim-orientated.
Like the gay club in Florida.
Okay, so listen, you want to call them tyrannical Muslims, you want to call them radical Muslims, you want to use any stupid word you want to use, guess what? They are killing people throughout the world, and they have to be stopped.
Of course, we have on this program always had every persuasion, every point of view, and we will next week have a different point of view and our guest, who has been here from the United Nations. And I have found that the terrorist and the extreme murderer does not represent any population from which they come. And that's why we in our organization have gravitated to joining everybody. And we want to hear these positive voices, and we want to put away the misunderstanding. And I believe Donald Trump stands very strongly for that. And he also agrees with that. And he has made a coalition of that, but a coalition away from encouraging the haters, because the real haters are those who won't tolerate us. They don't tolerate Jews. They don't tolerate those who are against the bombers and the murderers and the terrorists. And I know many professors on college campuses who jump for joy when they see terrorist acts against Israel, Jews, and America. Do you agree?
Well, I was one of the first rabbis to do the Kumbaya, to have special programs inviting the Muslim community and saying we will defend the Muslim community. I was one of the first, long before these liberal, wonderful rabbis have been doing it. Then all of a sudden, I was chairman of the Interfaith Holocaust program for about 30 years, and I invited the Muslims to participate, major mistake. We're doing the Hatikva, and they won't stand up. Okay, so they don't stand up. We're done with the service, and I say to the imams, listen, guys, it doesn't look good for you not to stand up. Okay. Next year, they not only don't stand up, they leave. before the Hatikva, about 10 minutes before, planned, right? Showing their ass to the flag of Israel. Well, sorry, I don't go for that. So I resigned. I was president of this group, and I resigned. So I learned my lesson. You know what? Muslims, if you really mean what you're saying, the next time there's a hostility, come out in the streets.
We have to say our goodbyes. You had the same experience at Rutgers, where you were
Yes.
distinguished faculty for the longest time. Thank you, Rabbi
God bless you.
Rosenberg. A very happy New Year to our guests, and tune in next week for more discussion on these issues. Thank you, Shannon Taylor, your host from The Conversation. We only